Hello students, my name is Dr. Jyoti Prakash and I am Assistant Professor in the Department of Management, School of Management Sciences, Lucknow. Now welcome you all to the video lecture that is based on one of the important concern as an employer and employee point of view, that is performance appraisal. So just start discussing on the topic performance appraisal. So in simple words we can say that performance appraisal is basically a process of assessing the performance and progress of an employee on a given job and his or her potential for future development. Performance appraisal is a word that is made of two words, that is performance and the second one is appraisal. Performance is all about the efforts and the contribution of the employees, and appraisal is all about appraise, means somehow giving appreciation and acknowledgement of the performance of an individual. And if you see this is very important, that if someone is performing good, suppose you as student, if you are giving answers, if you are getting good marks in your examination, if you are regular at your classes, if you are sincere in submitting the assignment that have been given by your concerned subject teacher, so obviously you can expect a appraisal from them in fact. So that you can maintain the same in coming time or future time. So in organization too, it is also expected by the employee that if they are performing good, if they are achieving their target, if they are justifying the roles and assigned duties, if they are justifying their salary and the benefit, so obviously they should be they can expect that they should be appreciated, and their efforts or their performance should be appreciated or acknowledged by the organization too. So performance appraisal is all about a process through which a human resource manager or the organization basically assess, means just analyzes the performance of the employees, and accordingly they can take decision regarding appraising the performance of the individual or not. So a definition given by Dale that performance appraisal is the systematic evaluation of the individuals with respect to his or her performance on the job and his or her potential for development. Why performance appraisal is called a systematic evaluation or systematic process? In the later slide we will have a look on that. What we can say that performance appraisal, the decision of performance appraisal cannot be taken quick or at once in a year or within a particular time period. The performance of the employees is being watched by the supervisor or the HR manager or the organization, and on the continuous evaluation or the continuous supervision done by the concerned one, the decision can be taken regarding giving appraisal to the individual or not. That is why it is called a systematic evaluation. Performance appraisal is called the systematic evaluation and the process, and in which the evaluation of what the performance of the individual is being checked out, and accordingly the decision can be taken, so that their potential or their competence, their skills can also be developed in order to perform the future roles or the higher roles into the organization. So what are the objectives of performance appraisal? To maintain records in order to determine compensation packages, wage structure, salary raises, etc. Obviously, if the human resource manager, if the organization is just going to take decision regarding appraising the performance, so for what? For that purpose the organization should have a record of the achievement and the performance and the salary of the employees too, to identify the strength and weaknesses of employees, to place right men on right job. If you have been, suppose if you have been hired by the organization for performing a particular job and associated duties and responsibility, and if the organization or the human resource manager finds you that you are expert enough, you are justifying your role, you are justifying your salary, you are achieving your given target, you are following the instruction of your supervisor. So obviously that will help the human resource manager in taking decision regarding placing you at a right place, so that you as an employee can enhance your skills and competence. Next one is to maintain and assess the potential present in a person for further growth and development. Means if you as student, if your teacher has asked one question and if you as student has gave the answer of that question, so obviously you can expect that you should get a appreciation from that teacher. And if the teacher has appreciated you in the same way, suppose yes, very good, you have done excellent work, so by doing so or by listening these appreciation from the teacher, you will try to maintain the same performance, you will try to give the answer in the same way or you will perform in the same way in your class. So in the organization too, if the organization is just praising the performance of the employee, they are trying to maintain the potential or the competence of the individual, and you can also give a sense to the individual that they have to perform in the same way if they want to get appreciation, if they want to get appraisal from the organization. To provide a feedback to employees regarding their performance and related status, means if you are giving appraisal to some of your employees, you are simultaneously you are giving feedback to them that they are performing good, they are achieving the given target, and for appreciating or for acknowledging their efforts and contribution, they are getting promoted and they are just giving some sort of benefit by the organization. It serves as a basis for influencing work habits of the employees, means if you have introduced this particular practice into your organization, so by doing so you are trying to inculcate a sense of we can say discipline, or you are trying to establish a working habit to your employees that they have to, if they will perform better, if they will justify the assigned duties and responsibility, they will be given appraisal from the organization. So these are some of the objectives of performance appraisal. So obviously if the organization gives appraisal to the employees, there are benefits associated with all the concerned parties, like benefits to the organization, what can be the benefits for the supervisor, and what can be the benefits to the employee himself or herself. So just have a discussion on the benefits that will be associated to these parties. So the first benefit to the organization, what can be the benefit if the organization is going to adopt the practices or going to appraise the performance of the employees, they are trying to communicate the goals, means if the employees are being appraised again and again for good performance, by doing so the organization is trying to communicate the goals that they want to, they are expecting the good performance from each and every one. So, if they are appraising, so they have to maintain the same. So, it is one of the benefit. The next one is the organization can take decision regarding human resources or regarding developing the human resources in the organization, and they can the performance appraisal basically provides some basis for raises, promotion, or for taking decision regarding promotion, training and other personnel action. And if the organization is giving appraisal to the employees, they are trying to build up a strong relationship, working relationship, and they are trying to maintain a harmonious or a healthy relationship between the employer and the employee. And if you are appraising the performance of good one, and if you are not appraising the performance of low performers, so by doing so you are also introducing some fairness in your overall policy or in your overall code of conduct, that, and you are also giving a picture to your employees that those who are performing good, they will be appreciated only by the organization, and if they want the same, they have to perform in the expected manner and in the said manner as they have been informed earlier. So these are basically some of the benefits to the organization. The next one is benefits to the supervisor. So these are some benefits that is for the boss or to the supervisor, like build managerial skills, and If you are appraising the performance of the good performance, means suppose you have been given appraisal to a sales executive, to area sales manager, then by doing so you are trying to build up the skills or the managerial skills, how to manage the activities, or you are trying to give a higher role to the individual so that they can just enhances the managerial skills. And if the supervisor is taking recommendation regarding appraising the performance of the individual, because supervisor are the one who are basically the closer to the employees, and they know the level of performance and the achievement of the performance working under them. So, if the supervisors are giving recommendation to the organization regarding appraising the performance of the employees, so by doing so they are trying to develop and improve rapport or good relationship, we can say, with the employees. And if you are giving recommendation to the organization regarding giving appraisal, so by doing so you are also trying to give reward to the high performers, and you are also giving them a message that they have to maintain the same if they want to get this particular appraisal again and again from the organization. If some of your employees, if the supervisor finds that some of the employees are unable to get appraisal from the organization, means they are not good enough at their work, they are not performing their duties and responsibility in the expected manner. So, the supervisor can also identify the requirement of a training to those individuals, so that they can also enhance their skills, they can also just fulfill or the gap that that have been that is basically arising during the performance, and they are facing difficulty in that. So, accordingly a supervisor can identify the training requirement of the performers as well as non-performers. So, accordingly he or she can take decision regarding which type of training program and what content should be delivered to either performer or non-performer one. If the supervisor is recommending the name of some of the employees, by doing so he or she just tries to improve individual employee productivity, because by doing so you are also giving them a sense and you are also giving them a picture that the supervisor is also, your supervisor is also supportive for you. Means if you are performing good, your boss is there, your immediate boss is there to help you out for getting appraisal or for getting more benefit by the organization. So, performance appraisal basically improves individual employee productivity, and because in one organization the employees have to work in a group. So, if you are giving appraisal to the members of the group and you are acknowledging the efforts and the contribution of them, so obviously you are trying to improve the morale of the employees, that they are in a right place, they are in the right organization, and they are getting appraisal or they are getting benefit for the cost of what the good performance. So, somehow by doing so the supervisor is trying to improve the group morale, and if they are able to win that morale, or if being a human resource manager, if you are able to win the trust of your subordinates, so obviously they will help you out in performing any task or in helping you out, can help you out in fulfilling your objective or your achievement in fact. So, these are some of the benefits associated with the performance appraisal, and that will benefit the supervisors. The next one is the benefits to the employee himself and herself. So, what can be the benefits if he or she is getting appraisal from the employee from the organization? So, the first one is find out how they are doing, means they are able to get feedback by the supervisor as well as the organization about their performance, that how they are doing, how well they are, or how bad they are in performing, means whatever the performance of they are showing in the organization, accordingly he or she is able to get the feedback. Means some first benefit is obviously if we do something, in return we are also expecting some feedback from the concerned one or from the other one. So, it is also one of the benefit that you are getting with the help of the practice of performance appraisal. Means if you are getting appraisal from the organization, you can get feedback, a positive feedback that your performance is good and the organization for what the organization is appraising you. And if you are not getting appraisal or the benefits by the organization, you are also giving a communication, or you are also giving an information that you are your performance is not up to the mark, or your performance is not as the expectation of the company. The next one is provides recognition for accomplishment. Obviously, if the organization basically if the employee is able to get appraisal, so he or she is also getting recognition, acknowledgement for the achievement, for the performance that they have shown in the organization. The benefits like allows for two-way communication on goals and performance. Means whatever the firstly the supervisor or the organization has communicated the goals or communicated the expectations earlier, and accordingly they are expecting the same from the employee as well. So, it allows two-way communication between the parties, and performance appraisal basically encourage taking responsibility for their, if the organization is introducing appraisal. So, by doing so they are trying to encourage the employees for taking more responsibility for the progress of the organization. And appraisal basically guides the employees to in setting up the goals and the direction. Means in which direction he or she will has to go, he or she will go so that they will get benefit or they will get appraisal from the organization. And appraisal provides employees an opportunity, or we can say opportunities for career development and improvement. So, these are the benefits. We have discussed benefits as per the employer, supervisor or employee point of view. So, the next is the important concept that should be understood by you if you are going to adopt, or if you you have been instructed by the organization to adopt this particular function in the organization. So, the first step is what setting performance standard, whatever the standard we will discuss in later videos. So, firstly you have to set up the target or the standard that should be expected by the individual one or by the employees in fact. So, being a human resource manager, you have to set out that standard first. Means you have to set out the expectation of the organization first, and then after whatever the expectation and the standard you have set out for helping out in helping the organization in achieving the objective. So, those standards should be communicated to the employee as well. Means whatever the expectation that the company has to its employees, that expectation must be communicated to whom? To the employees. Measure actual performance means after getting information about the expectation and the standard and the target, employees are performing in the same way, employees are trying to perform in the same way, employees are basically trying to achieve that standard, they are just performing, and whatever the outcome or whatever the performance they have shown, that should be measured by the human resource manager. Means the human resource measure the actual performance of each and every one. Next is what comparison is done. Comparison is being done by the human resource manager, and how comparison is being implemented or done by the human resource manager and between. So, comparison is done between the actual performance and the set standard. Means whatever the expectation that company has or the human resource manager has communicated to its employee, and after showing the performance, after giving the efforts and contribution of by the employees, the performance will be compared or matched up with the set standard, and also discuss the result. And here the human resource manager basically finds that whether that standards have been achieved or met out with the individual or with the employees or not. So, accordingly whatever the result that the human resource manager basically finds, that should be discussed with whom? To the concerned one, means whatever the result or whatever the outcome after doing comparison, that should be communicated to whom? To the employee as well. And accordingly corrective decision should be, or corrective action should be taken in order to fulfill this particular process. Like if the performance is good, if the human resource manager finds that some of the employees are able to achieve the given standard after showing the performance, after showing the certain level of performance. So, obviously he or she is eligible to get the appraisal from the organization, and if result shows that there is a deviation in the actual performance, between the actual performance and the given standard. So, accordingly taking corrective action should be taken in order to rectify, means some sort of counseling, some sort of discussion is required, means why they have not achieved the given standard, why they have not performed as per the expectation, as in expected manner. So, accordingly decision can be taken whether in both the cases, if the human resource manager finds some of the employees are good, so accordingly decision can be taken regarding appraising their performance, or if some of the employees are not able to achieve that standard, so accordingly problem may be solicited or problem may be asked from them that why they have not performed in the same way or in the expected manner. So, accordingly whatever the feedback the human resource manager gets after having a discussion with the employees, so accordingly decision can be taken. So, it is all about what a process means. It is a continuous process, and we have said earlier and we have seen in the definition that performance appraisal is a systematic process. So, why it is called a systematic? Because you have to go through these steps. Then after you are able to implement this particular appraisal function in a very systematic or in a very meaningful manner. You can also give a equitable sense to all the employees working in the organization, that on these basis we have adopted or we have given appraisal to some of the employees. So, this particular process should be followed or should be adopted by you if you as a human resource manager are going to adopt or going to implement or going to implement this particular function in the organization. So, the next one is who will appraise performance? Obviously supervisors, peers, subordinates, self appraisal, users of services means your customers like the retailers or your personal customers or individual customers, or consultants means if both the employer and the employee are not satisfied with the practices or with the decision of regarding performance appraisal. So, there should be some consultant hired by the organization, so that they can took decision in a very honest manner, in a very non-partial manner, and justice can be done or can be given to both the parties. When to appraise? Informal appraisal are conducted whenever the supervisor or personal manager feel it necessary, and systematic appraisals are conducted on a regular basis, example for even 6 months, either after 6 months or annually. Advantages of performance appraisal, like it helps the supervisor to plan out the promotional programs for efficient employees. It helps in planning the compensation packages of employee. Compensation packages includes bonus, high salary, extra benefits, allowances and other benefits. The systematic procedure of performance appraisal helps the supervisor to frame out training policies and program. It helps the supervisor to understand the validity and importance of selection procedure. Systematic appraisal help to identify the ability of an employee, so that accordingly they can also, the human resource manager can also suggest them how to go further in their career, and it serves as a motivational tool through evaluating performance of employees. You can also giving them a feedback and regarding their good performance, and they have to maintain the same. So, obviously performance appraisal serves like a motivational tool, and these are basically some of the disadvantages, like if not done right, they can create a negative experience obviously, and it will create mess in your organization in fact. Performance appraisal are very time consuming and to the managers, and sometimes they feel exhausted while adopting this particular function in the organization. They are based on human assessment and subject to errors and biasness. Obviously, your supervisor somehow may be biased to some of the employees because they are very favorite to them, they are very close to them. So, it involves some sort of biasness, and it is also done by a human one. So, human errors may also arise, can be a waste of time if not done appropriately, and they can create a very stressful environment for everyone involved in fact. So, these are some of the disadvantage of performance appraisal. A constructive sound constructive program should include the following elements, like an effective program. Performance appraisal program should have the support of top management, because whatever the decision you will take, you will recommend regarding appraising the performance of your employees, that should be supported by the top management too. Objectives and standard of performance appraisal must be carefully planned, and that must be in aligned with the company's need and the objectives. A uniform system may be desirable where applicable. Appraisal records must be kept confidential to ensure an honest and objective evaluation. The post appraisal interview is also very important factor in effective evaluation system. During this interview, the supervisor sit down with each subordinate and discuss the review. This interview should also gives influences the subordinate to improve his or her performance, and criticism of poor performance should be timely, and it should be it should be rectified by involving or by having a discussion with the concerned one, so that they can also be bad performers or the average performers can also be improve their performance, so that they can get this particular benefit by the organization in coming time. So, that is all in the basic concepts of performance appraisal. I will try to the concept other concepts like method of performance appraisal in the later class. So, just if you want to get more information, just go through the references. That is all in this video lecture. Thank you, students.